you don't actually need to use the mouse in the Explorer as often as you think. So naturally you have your arrow keys that let you move around stuff, but it doesn't actually end at that. So you know how you can have something selected and then shift click to select all of that? Well, the thing is, that actually applies to arrow keys as well. If you hold down shift and move, you'll continue to select stuff. All right, so say you selected this, and for some reason you want to move to some other place without leaving the selection, because by default, when you press arrow keys, it will also move the selection. But if you can hold down Control and use arrow keys, the selector moves without moving the selection. And then when you move there, actually, just now I discovered something new, but we'll get to how I just did that. Now, you probably know this, but Alt arrows also do something. Alt left is go to the previous location, Alt forward or Alt right is go to the next location in history, but if you use Alt up, that will just go up a level regardless of where you were the last time. There's no such thing as Alt down, unfortunately, but that's just enter. But the most amazing thing that I discovered, and the reason why I make this video in the first place, is letters and numbers. So this is quite a big folder with a bunch of emojis that I use for my thumbnails. And a lot of them have their first letter of their title be pretty different from every other one. So say I want to go to this emoji. When I press Y, I go there because it starts with Y. And that is just incredible. So instead of having to use your mouse and click on this, you can just type the letter that the title starts at. But what if you want to go to somewhere and there are multiple files which start with the same letter? That's not actually an issue. So say I want to go to brick, I press B and I end up here. Well, I can just press B again and again and again to cycle through all of the files that start with that letter. And that applies to numbers as well. So I download my anime usually, and here I have One Piece. All of the downloaded episodes that I have here start with 6, so the rule still applies, but it's not as useful now. And if I try to use 7 to be more specific, that just doesn't work because that's not at the start. Now, remember Alt left? You can actually just use backspace for that, and that will essentially be Alt left, which is easier for me to press rather than moving my hand all over to the arrow keys. I don't like arrow keys. I'm a Vim user, and I actually remapped, like system remapped, to have Alt HJKL to be arrow keys, but naturally I don't have the other modifiers I could press with that, in which case I do have to use the arrow keys. But nevertheless, let's go to the emojis once again, and I press E to go there. Amazing, right? So the thing that I just discovered is, first of all, when we press space, as you can see, there is no selection currently. I press space and now there is a selection. And then with control arrows, we can go to somewhere else and use space again to leave a selection. Essentially, what space does is place selection at this current place that the selector that you can move has. So you can select multiple different things with your keyboard exclusively. You usually would select and then control click, control click, control click, and we're all used to that. But turns out there's a pretty good keyboard solution to this. So currently the selection is on here. Let's I don't imagine there's a way to select this when I press L, because that will just move. So I'm not sure how to do that. Maybe there's no way, maybe there is actually a way. And if you figured it out, please leave it in the comments. I would be like really interested. Now home and end just go to this to the first file and to the last file in the folder, but let's actually, without using the mouse, Control Shift F10, which in most apps, if not every app, is right click. And now just press what? View and then content. I pressed V and now T for content. Just an extra tip for all you keyboard users here. When we use page up, we go, a page up. I started at the top of the folder. So when I press page up, it assumed that I wanted to go from the bottom, which makes sense. And then I continue on to go page by page. And page down does the opposite of going down, which is also useful. You don't need to, this is considerably slower, and maybe you don't want to go full start or full end. So that's gonna be it. If you enjoyed this video, press a like, type some comment, maybe you have a question or a suggestion. Definitely subscribe so you don't miss my content, but most importantly, stay fresh, cheese bags, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!